right. Good day to you all, and welcome to this session where I'll be talking about AI and how to use AI much better than we are currently doing. And this webinar is called Stop Chatting with AI and Start Building AI Coworkers, meaning taking AI from a basic chat to coworkers or to a workmate, which is going to require a bit of changing how we think. My name is Ronald Bette, and let's get on with our session today. So the first question I need to answer is, why am I doing this? So about late last year, I met a friend of a friend who had gone quite far with AI. He had a sophisticated laptop, I think a MacBook, and I complimented him on it, and he began to tell me what it was doing. So he told me that he was running an AI model locally on that MacBook, and he was using it to analyze road traffic incidents in Uganda based on all the reports that were being made on social media, because he realized that not all accidents and incidents on the roads get reported through the official channels. However, there are always posts here and there, and his AI had been trained to be able to capture those pieces of information from various sources and put them together into an incident. And I was amazed because at the time I was only chatting with AI. So I began to learn more about what more I can do with AI beyond just chatting. And that is when I discovered the things that I'm going to teach you. And before and the process of discovering these things, I asked myself, what is the biggest task? What are some of the biggest things that I currently do? And myself, I'm also an HSC professional. I asked myself, what are those big things I currently do that I would really appreciate if AI took them on from me? And that's when I realized that personally, from time to time, I develop ISO management systems. And these management systems could be over 150 documents. You have procedures, you have manuals, you have checklists, you have registers, you have forms, and all of them are interlinked. And each and every one of them, you're referring to other documents, and all the numbering needs to make sense. And I realized that as an ISO consultant, that's a significant chunk of my work that AI can do for me. There's a part of it that I have to do, and I have to do very well, but I can teach AI on how to do the others. So once I was able to crack that code, if I'm to say, and realize how much I can do using Claude and using skills, I realized that there is value and people need to know how to use this better, be able to do better work or to do work quicker. That's the reason why I'm doing this. And you'll see as we go through the presentation. So over the next 1 hour, this is what we are going to cover. The difference between purely chatting with AI and using AI as a coworker, which I'm calling AI versus cowork. Then I'm going to introduce you to the concept of skills. What is a skill? You already have skills, but now the question is, in the context of AI, what is a skill? And how do you develop one? Make sure that you're able to work smoothly. We're going to learn that. And then we're going to ask ourselves, what kind of tasks can be turned into a skill? Then I'm going to demonstrate one skill in action with it and without it, what is the difference and what is the workflow. And then hoping that through the session, you will have identified your own tasks that you do from day to day that can be turned into a skill. The key points that we are going to cover is you have been conversing with AI as opposed to delegating work to it. And finally, if it's something that you do regularly and it has a recognizable shape, then you should think of converting it into a skill. Okay, let's go and start the difference. Let me see by show of hands in the chat, either raising your hand or a thumbs up. How many of us have used AI chat, especially the one where you find yourself repeating the same thing? An example, you ask AI to help you to to improve an email. How many of us have found ourselves doing that more than once in a month? Good, 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 good. Okay, good, good, good. Now, there is no problem with that. Yeah. And that is how we all started. These systems keep developing. The problem is that is how you are using AI like it is 2023, 2024. Now there is a better way. Okay. The challenge in asking AI to improve and make your email nicer, if I might to give an example, is that because you haven't told it what nicer or what kind of improvements you want it to make up. It means in each chat, you have to describe a lot. You have to tell it, okay, this email is going to my boss, and my boss is this kind of person. And so improve it with that knowledge that it's going to my boss. Now, once that chat is done and you have closed it, when you come back tomorrow, you have to, and you ask it to improve an email and it's going to your boss. You have to again remind it that it's going to your boss. So it gets exhausting. Just like you can see that lady on the screen there, probably it may be 9:30 p.m. and she has to finish something and she's just imagining if she needs to give all the context to AI. Brian is saying no sound. Can you all hear me? I think you can. At least you have been responding. I want to assume the rest can hear me. I'll proceed. Good. The people can hear me. Now, here is where the change is for us who have been asking AI to improve our emails, or where you drop a document in AI and ask it to get something for you. Here is the difference. There are 3 levels, or there are 3 ways in which AI is being used generally by everyone right now. So this is not something complex. You need to know this. So there are 3 levels. The first level is chat, which we have all been doing since 2020 or 2022 there. That's where you type something, it types back. So I'm not going to spend so much time there. That one you already know. Now, chat has its limitations, meaning it tells you what you should do as opposed to it doing the thing for you. That is one. Then 2, after the chat is done, it forgets everything. And then you have to start afresh. Okay? Even if you try to give it custom instructions, it can't be too detailed. You always have to keep bringing in new context. Okay, that is chat. Now, Anthropic have their own chat version. OpenAI, which you people know, Chat GPT, they have their version. Google, you have done Google Chat. You have chatted with Gemini. Microsoft Copilot. Those are some of the popular options of chat that these companies provide. Then you have the next one, which is Coworker or Work. You can see Anthropic, they have what they call Claude Coworker, which is really what I'm going to focus on for today. Then you have OpenAI. They have recently introduced ChatGPT Work. This one I think is less than a week old. And then you have Google Gemini Workspace agents. Then you have Copilot Workspace. Okay. And then after that, you have developer tools, what we know as code. We have Cloud Code. We have OpenAI have something called Codex. Google has something called anti-gravity, and then Microsoft have GitHub. Now, those are purposefully out of the scope of today's session. Purposefully, they're out of the scope of today's session. Now, as you can see the images there, work is about giving AI work. It does the work and it outputs finished product. By finished product, I mean the product of what AI has done may or may not require your final review. It is done. An example I can give, and it will get more complex later on in this session, is I asked AI to write a procedure for emergency response. I've already told it the font, formats, chapters that it should always use whenever it is writing procedures. Okay. I just say company XYZ, they run 3 sites. Write for them a procedure for emergency response. Recently, A response includes this and this and this. They have this equipment, they have that equipment, they have first aid here and there. I give the information that I've gotten from the client in whatever format. And then it will go ahead and write this procedure following all the specifics that I have given it. And when it is done, it's going to produce the actual document, well numbered as I've instructed, and put it in the right place. That is work. You can see it is different from having a chat with the AI. This slide is very important, and it forms the basis of what we're going to talk about. What we're going to talk about today is this middle point here, the Coworker, the middle point. Hey, so what exactly is Coworker? Coworker is an agentic desktop app that lets the AI, in this case, we're using Claude, to do real multi-step knowledge work. You're going to ask me what is knowledge work. I'm going to explain. It does the knowledge work and it outputs the complete output rather than giving you advice on what you should do yourself. Okay? And the beauty of it is it produces finished work, and it is something that can be shared with the whole team, as you will see. So that is what you need to take away from here is there is an AI agent that is going to do multi-step work. Okay? And by multi-step work, I mean, if you ask me, for example, to write a procedure, first I need to get the specifics of the procedure, how it is carried out in the organization. Then I need to refer to standards and policies of the company to guide me, ensuring that the procedure is written correctly. Then I go ahead and write the procedure in the font and format of the organization. Now, those are steps that I'm going to take. Then finally, I'm going to read through everything to ensure that it is aligned with how company procedures in that company are written. Then I'm going to review it again. After that, then I'll share the finished work. You can see that there are certain steps I'm going to follow. Now, those steps, what happens in Coworker, or what an AI Coworker will do for you. This is the difference between chat and Coworker. Now, Coworker is covered. Now, let's look at skills. Now, skills can work in chat, can also work in Coworker, but we're talking about skills. If someone is asking that I share this in shower, I'll share. So we're not going to explain the concept of skills. Now, I need your attention as much as possible because it took me a few weeks before I got the confidence to attempt this. But once I did, I was so excited I did. Now, skills are like a set of, here it says a set of guidelines, rules, knowledge you give to the AI so that it understands how to perform a specific task exactly the way you want it. And there's more text there. But the idea of skills is, as a professional, as an expert, there are certain things you know, there are certain steps you take when doing work, when doing a certain piece of work that make you unique. That is the experience that your employer pays you for. Okay? I can give an example that you can relate to. Walking into a company that has no procedure and working with them until, let's say, 4, 6, 9 months later, and they have a complete working management system. So how do you do it? How do you build a management system? If I walked into a company that has no document, what does it take 3, 4 months later for me to work with them to develop a management system that is 100 documents big? Now, the answer to that question is the skill, is the knowledge and skills that I have. In AI, the concept of skills is that I can teach the AI how I do it. That step 1, I do this, step 2, I do this, then step 3, I get this information, and then I analyze it for this, and then I do this, and then it does this, and then it outputs the finished procedure, or it outputs the finished document register. Then after that, to build each procedure, I take this information from the client, and then I put this here and put this here. So I can teach that to the AI because my value as since the majority of us here are HSC professionals, I'll stick with this analogy. Your true value as an HSC or ISO consultant is not those templates you got before COVID, 10 years ago, those ISO templates. That's not your value. Your value is your ability to appreciate what the standard says, the client's context, and to integrate the two into what the client currently does. Make sure that what the client currently does is compliant with the standards, but it's also being followed on the ground. That is the value you bring, not those templates from 20 years ago. Now, it means that sitting down and writing those templates, typing away, writing those templates is not the value. That one AI can do for you. Your value is integrating the two. I hope we are together. I have two examples here. You can look at a skill as an SOP that you hand to the employee. In this case, the employee is the AI, and he follows it each time. Another way in which you can look at a skill is imagine a consultant that you have on call. Could also work for companies that have you have like a company lawyer. Now that company lawyer, you don't explain each time you need the lawyer to handle something. You don't explain the lawyer, we are company XYZ, we are 17 years old, these are our values, these are the cases we have handled in the past. For the cases of this kind, we normally want to take it to court. For cases of this kind, we like to settle with the client. This is our budget. You don't have to give the company lawyer that detail every time you call on them to help you sort out a matter. They already have that the first time. So it's like they already developed the skill of how to serve you. That is the concept of skills. What goes into making a skill? You need to give the skill a name, what it does, and how it does it, and the key outcomes. What we call the purpose and the trigger. Then you need to give the skill the step-by-step instructions. When doing this, what do I do first and what do I do second? What do I do third? Almost like a recipe. If followed each time, you get the same output. And then you need to give it rules and boundaries and guardrails. What to do, what not to do. Then you need to show, as you're building the skill, you need to show the AI that is helping you to build the skill what good looks like, so it is able to output something similar to what good looks like each time. And then you need to give it any supporting files that or information that it needs to work with. Yeah, so it's able to understand exactly the information it needs as input. So those are the things that go into building a skill. Now I need to mention that building a skill is not coding, it's not technical. It's like imagine an intern walked into your company and you asked that intern doesn't know how a certain report is prepared. Okay? And you're going to work with them, be able to prepare their first one. Maybe the report is, let's say it's a monthly report. Okay, weekly report. Takes input from various departments and then it computes and then it represents them in a certain format. So you're going to work with this intern to do the first one. You'll show them a previous one, then you're going to work with them. Okay, information from department A, site B, site C have come in, compute like this, compute like that, then put the output like this in this table and then serve as a PowerPoint presentation, something like that. Copy this, paste here, normally you like images that look like this, yeah? And then they're going to do their first report. Once they've done their first report, they have learned how that report is done. Next time they'll do it themselves, and you yourself now, you'll just look at their finished work. If they miss something, you'll ask them to correct it and maintain that correction going forward. That's exactly how we build skills in Claude Coworker. We will go through the first activity with them. with the AI and then say, turn this into a skill. And then output the skill, maybe save the skill, something like that. And that skill, you can download it and share with someone else who is using the same AI. And then when they use that same skill, they'll be able to output the same quality of work. That is a very common way of building these AI skills. Okay, now a skill is not a detailed prompt. I know some of us who have been attending, you're probably thinking that maybe this is just a prompt that is well written. A skill is not a prompt. There is a big difference between a skill and a prompt, as I can give you examples here. So a prompt is used for a single task, and you cannot easily share a prompt without losing context. While a skill can be shared multiple times and used by different people without losing the context. Another way of looking at a skill is a skill, a prompt contains detailed instructions. I think if you have been prompting, you have even seen people selling prompts and so on. This is a prompt for doing this and that, but a prompt just has detailed instructions. Now, on the other hand, a skill will have the detailed instructions. It will have knowledge. It will have examples. It will have reference files. It will have do's and don'ts. It will have much more. The skill depends on the user providing context each time, like I've mentioned, the prompt, while the skill already has all the context ready to apply each time. The skill is good for ad hoc requests, while, a prompt is good for ad hoc requests, while a skill is best for standardized business processes, and so on and so forth. So there is a difference. Now, the question we're going to begin answering in the next few slides is, what kind of work can be turned into a skill? Let me admit some people. What kind of work can be turned into a skill? Now, you'll see, as you see on that slide, you see the general description of the type of work that can be turned into a skill, what we call knowledge work. I use knowledge work because it's the lazy. Okay, I see daily reports. Good. So generally, work where your input is information, and then your output is also information, like daily reports. What are the people in the field telling you? How many instances did they have yesterday? You pick it, then you write it in a nicely developed PPT and send it to top management. Knowledge work. So ask yourself, what is the most repetitive? What is the most high value? What is the most profitable knowledge work that you currently do? I give you an example. You're a lawyer. The client walks to you and says, look, I have this legal challenge. I need your legal opinion. You take the guy's specific information, context, blah, blah, blah. You look at the applicable laws. You go through your normal process for offering the legal opinion. At the end of 1-2 weeks of your work, you have a document of 27 pages, which is a legal opinion, and the person is going to pay you maybe $10,000-$20,000, whatever it is, for the legal opinion. So you can see it is still knowledge in, knowledge out. Yeah. So think. Here are some examples, general examples. We have document creation. We have reviews of contracts. We have developing compliance and standards like legal compliance, reviewing of tax obligations. I think there is an example. I think this is in Canada, where they developed a skill that helps them to, like, you see those forms that you fill when you apply, let's say, for a passport. Those forms you fill in. Once you submit that form, it takes all that information and it outputs the information that is then used to hand you a passport without having to go through, I think it's an ID, without having to go through multiple steps. It takes the information, it cross-references what it needs to cross-reference. Basically, whatever the user would have used that information, the AI handles it. Yeah. So these skills sound simple, but can handle extremely complex tasks, and the skills can be extremely complex. Some of the examples there, you can snapshot the screen. In the interest of time, I'll move on. But what I'm saying here, if a task follows a repeatable process, uses consistent rules and templates, or requires the same reference materials every time, it is an excellent candidate for a Claude skill. So the question is, what do you have there that we can turn into a skill? I think this is the same thing that I've just mentioned. Is it something you do repeatedly? Does it follow a recognizable process? Does it need consistent quality every time? Obviously, as the professional, I check very highly. So I think I want to deliver consistent quality every time. So let's see a simple skill in action. One of the things I do is I write articles, yeah? Maybe for newspapers, for LinkedIn, blogs, etc. So I'm going to use this to demonstrate a simple skill. Then after that, I'm not going to demonstrate a more complex skill, but I'm just going to show you how I use that other complex skill, because that skill would need the AI to work for about 30 minutes before it delivers its output. So we won't demo it, but I will show it and show it's what it takes as input and what it gives us an output. So here, let's try with chat, and then we'll try with Coworker. Allow me to walk a few steps back. Can we all see my screen?
I can. Hi, Ronald.
Hello. Now, I will explain this, but I need to show it as well. Let me make it bigger so that we can. Is this making it bigger? Do that again. Okay, slightly bigger. So this is my desktop application for Claude. You can see that where my cursor is dancing now, you see chat, and then you see Coworker. So this chat, we're going to test how to write an article, how you can write an article with using a skill in chat, just in normal chat, like you have been doing since 2022, and how I currently use a skill in Coworker. And then you'll see the difference. And I hope it can paint a picture better. So we have this article I want to write. Let me pick the article. I'm saying, write for me a newspaper article about the benefit and purpose of ISO 9001 2015 certification for a restaurant, especially the quality of service for the customer. Now, in Claude Code, I already have a skill, so I'm just going to say, do not use any currently installed skill. I don't want it to use the skill. I want it to work without the skill. We'll demonstrate the skill after. So we send this off to work. Now we can give the same assignment to ChatGPT, which we are all very familiar with. This is what we are familiar with. We can give the same assignment to ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is, I believe, is working. Let's see how Claude is going now. They are creating the article for me. I just need to wait now. Let's see ChatGPT. Where is ChatGPT? Is that? ChatGPT is normally quicker than this. Let's give it again. I know ChatGPT to finish this kind of things very, very quickly. Let's see what could be happening to my ChatGPT. Okay, so let's go back to Claude and see. It's done. So this is the article that he has written. More than a certificate, what ISO 9001 really means for a restaurant's customers. And then it goes on and goes on. Now, probably this is very good writing. I can't deny, and also I wouldn't want to use our time here to read through word by word. Let's see what our friend, ChatGPT has been able to do. ChatGPT has not responded. I need it to do this work, so I'll just go back a step. Let's try again. Okay, I think we'll allow ChatGPT. It may be having challenges, but it is okay. We'll wait So this article, as I've mentioned, maybe it's probably well written, but have you considered that? Have you considered that if someone read that article, they may find some, like there are common things that you can pick up when the thing is done by AI. How can they tell that indeed this article is written by me? Yeah. Or what makes it special or unique to me? None. Eh? Maybe there's my name at the top. However, to write an article that is highly specific to you, you need to communicate to the AI what you're hoping to achieve with this article. You need to give it your audience. If this article is being written to Japanese, maybe Japanese who are based in Tokyo, it's different if you're writing it to residents of Kampala. There'll be some difference. What's the tone that you want to use in your writing? How long will the article be? What structure do you follow? When you write your articles, how do you start normally and how do you end? When you're writing, are you writing to border riders? Are you writing to PhDs? What is the level of writing? Do you have some specific examples or context that makes your article unique to you? And normally, how do you close? What is your call to action? Are you writing for LinkedIn? Are you writing for the newspaper? That newspaper you're writing to, what are their rules? What are their rules and regulations? Now, without having detailed answers to those questions, it will be very hard for you to get the same quality of work or consistent output from the AI each time. However, if you have answers to these questions already, it means irrespective of the AI that you use, you'll always get similar or consistent quality of work. Also, what are the steps to follow? You don't realize that when I gave this assignment to Claude without a skill, after a few seconds, it just dropped out an article. But a coworker, if this were a coworker, I would like them to follow some steps. There are some questions they need maybe to ask me who has asked them to write the article. And then when they're done, I probably expect them to perform a review of what they have done to ensure that it's consistent to the quality of work. Yeah. So now let's see how I can do this with a skill. Okay, in Coworker. So right now I'll go back to Claude. This time I'll go. Let me go and start a new chat, a new window. Sorry. Okay. If you look carefully where my cursor is dancing, you'll see there is chat and Coworker. This time I'm going to Coworker. Now, Coworker, just like a coworker or an employee, they need a specific cubicle or a specific room in which they are going to work. So you need to be able to point Coworker to a specific folder in your computer where it can create its output and drop its output there or make changes. For example, there can be a file in the folder that you have assigned it, and it can go into that file and make edits inside that file in that folder, okay? Or create that folder or create that file. So right now we'll point Coworker to the folder that I've created for this session. So we have a folder here. It's called 25th July 2026 webinar. Allow Claude to change files in this folder. Always allow. Okay. So now we're going to write the same article, but we're going to use a skill. I have my own skill here, which I call it Bette column writer. Okay. And you can see what it's meant for. I use Bette column writer for writing newspaper articles in my own style. Okay. So let's see this one in action. So I come here and I call the skill. You can see the skills I've developed. There's this one called Bette column writer. I pick it, then I give the same instruction. Write me a newspaper article about the benefits and purpose of IC certification for a restaurant, especially the quality of service. So imagine this co-work is an individual, is a teammate. I'm giving the assignment, and then off it goes. So it is thinking, it's reading. You can see the skill. If you look where my cursor is, this is the context that it is working with. And once it's done with this task, we'll ask it to explain what this skill does so that we're able to read and you see why it does what it does. So it's asking me, do you have a personal story, example, or analogy about 9001 and restaurant service quality that you'd like woven into this column, into this article? If not, I'll supply an illustrative analogy and flag it clearly for you to swap later. Now I have an opportunity to make this article my own unique one. Which the other option that did give me, we'll give it this one. Let me just show it on the screen before I drop it in. This is just my own brain dump. I've noticed some restaurants don't follow set procedures, and often they face incidents of inconsistent recipes and portioning. You have gone to restaurants where the same order, the size is different. If you ordered it today, when you go in 3 weeks' time, the size is different, the taste is different, the temperature is different. So you wonder if what you're going to get whenever you go there, because you're not sure of the consistency of the size. Yeah. So you as a customer, you may be unwilling to return. I've also noticed, have you gone to restaurants where they tell you 15 minutes and then it comes in 45 minutes? So you actually know whenever they tell you 15 minutes, you know that's going to be 45 minutes. So the waiting time is inconsistent. I can even add maybe I've experienced disorganized, long waiting times. So this is the context. This is my own idea. Whenever you want to write an article, you have your own point of view or some points you want to make in this article. So this is the opportunity for you to communicate them. Yeah. So I'll take this and add it there. Now it's asking me, do you want to see an outline first before I draft, or I go straight to the full draft? I want to see an outline first. So here is the outline. So I read through the outline, how the story is being built. So now it has stopped here. It's asking me, approve this outline, or would you like me to make some changes? Then we can make some changes and so on and dance around with it. Let's say for this purpose, it's all good. I say approved, draft it. It's asking me which byline should the column use. Log skill byline or finesse courses title. I think let's go with the log skill byline. Now the article is being written. So as the article is being written, I'm going to now go back and start another chart. This time it's going to be a chart. And for our learning, I'm going to ask, please explain what this skill does and how it works. This is now for our learning, because I've done something, I need to explain to you the difference. Something else I need to explain before we move. I hope I can be able to show it. This is this folder that we gave the AI to work in. You can see that it is empty. 25th July 2026 webinar is empty. When the Coworker or Claude Coworker is done, they are going to drop the file that has that article here. Just wanted you to have that. So it's writing the article. We can go back and cover this, then we'll come back with the finished article. So this skill is what it is for. It drafts and first-person newsletter opinion columns under my byline. It's tuned for short print submission rather than long-form blog content. And whenever it writes, it doesn't exceed 600 words. It uses I. There are no bullet points or subheadings. It always has a mandatory opposing view and a rebuttal structure. It has an open ending. It leaves a question or implication rather than a resolved conclusion. And these are the 9 steps it follows. It reads the style guide first, then it asks me if I have a personal story or angle. It does some research, then it asks whether the outline is okay, and then it proceeds to write a strong opening line, argument, opposing, rebuttal. It uses UK English, no Oxford comma. Then it checks itself for AI slope. Then it does the readability test to make sure that people of grade 7 to 9 can read. The sentences are 10 to 16 words long, so that detail. So this is the process that this skill goes through in working with me as a co-worker to write an article for the newspaper. Let's go and see if it has finished that work. Okay, when you see, I think is it beeping blue? Yeah, I think it's done. When it's beeping blue like that, it means the work is done. Saying here, it has written actually in 489 words. It is good, this grade, the ease of read is scored there. It's a conversational storyteller register. It has used my experience, which I've given it. Okay. And now we go and check the other folder, the other space where we told the co-worker to do their work. You find that it is there. So this is the outcome. Yeah? We can check it out. The recipe restaurants keep getting wrong. ISO isn't paperwork for paperwork's sake. It's a difference between a dish you can trust and one you can't. I'll order the same dish twice, 2 weeks apart at a restaurant I like and get 2 different meals, different portion, different seasoning. It goes on and goes on. So this writing is specifically, and the way it closes off here is specifically to how I've instructed the AI to do its work. All right. I hope you have been able to see the difference in a workflow that involves a skill and one that doesn't. No, so not every skill will take you these steps. I chose that it takes me through these steps. If there's something about this article that I don't like, I can ask it to change. Once it has changed, I can then ask it to slightly adjust the skill so that it now works the new way. Okay, the point I needed to make here is without a skill, I now need to begin prompting. You see this this article that was written without a skill? Now I need to begin saying, reduce it to 600 words. Don't use subheadings. You continue prompting and prompting. So this is the retraining of AI, which I talked about much earlier on, which you have to do every morning if you don't have a skill built. Yeah. But now you don't have to do that. This is an example of a legal opinion skill that the steps it would follow. But for our case, I think I'll talk about an HSC related skill that I have developed. Let me just show you the skill. Actually, let's just read what the skill does. I'll say there's this skill here. It is ISO SME QHSC document register planner. I'll call this skill. I said, please explain to me what this skill does. This is for me to explain to you people what this skill does, to show you the power of what these skills can do. Let me find the example. Okay, let's first read what the skill does. This skill builds an ISO management system document register, a Word document that lists every procedure, form, checklist, and ISO pack needs. And it has 3 parts. It has a master document list, a folder map, which shows which folders each of these files are, and part 3, a complete document index by type. It doesn't produce the actual templates or documents, it's just a register. And then it goes on to explain the kind of company it is meant for. So I'll ask here, what kind of input does this skill need from me to execute? Okay, I know the answers to this question. This is just for you to get what it is about. Okay. So this skill does 2 things. This is the part that I want to mess on. Client mode. So I need to give it the organization name, the sites, head count, the products and services they offer, typical customers, key value creation processes, key inputs and raw materials, their customer sales. I just mentioned how they do it, procurement activities, their operational risks, their environmental aspects, the ISO standards that are relevant to them, and the critical documents that they really need, the operational complexity drivers. So I can pick this information from a 30-minute conversation with a client, or a 20-minute conversation with a client. I can pick this information. When I give this information to the AI, it is able to output for me this one. This is one that we output as an example. I can show you now. If we gave the AI to do this, it would need about 25 to 30 minutes. So we don't have that time, but I can show you this one. So this is a fictional company called Kampala Comfort Footwear Limited. Okay. So when I give its information to Claude using the skill which I developed, it's able to go away for about 25 to 35 minutes or so. And then it outputs this 24-page document. Now, this document tells me which documents I need to develop for the client, what the purpose of these documents are, what these documents need to contain, when it's to be used, who is to use it, and what other documents are associated with that document. You can see there. In compliance to clause 4.1 and 4.2, we have a context analysis register, which has 3 parts: a FSTL, SWOT, and stakeholder analysis. It is in an Excel format. It's a living document, blah, 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 which you all know. It is linked to these other documents. This document itself is a record, and it feeds into these other documents. And we go on and on and on and on and on and on. Now, it doesn't stop at the dry documents that any ISO standard, any ISO company will need, but it also goes into some specific ones, especially around clause 8. So, for example, not every company will need solvent and adhesive handling and storage procedure. Okay, just because this fictional company, they are a show making company, so they use solvents and adhesives. Okay, this is an example. Okay, so then it lists for me all these documents, which are in this case 112 documents, how they'll be organized in folder by folder. So that when I develop them, I don't have one folder with 100 documents, but rather they are packaged. You can see folder 5 is competence, training, and awareness. And it will have 5A, which is competence and training, 5B, awareness and communication, and then it will move on to folder 6. Then after that, it will list for me all of them in their order. So this is a skill that I have built now. This skill, personally, it significantly improves my work and saves me time as a consultant. Now, I have another skill that what it does is it comes and reads this document. It reads the document number, the clause, and the document name, and the format, which is one, and it reads this description. Then it writes for me the actual document. Now, at this stage, I'll be able to give any specifics, any client specifics that it needs before it writes this document. Then to write this document, following the standard template that I will have provided, and it outputs the actual documents. So using these 2 skills, my time as a consultant can be focused on engaging with the client to get their specific information and then communicate to AI. Then the AI will do the writing of the procedure. That's not what my specialty is. Not sitting at the keyboard and typing, rather getting the information from the customer or communicating to the customer the right way that things are going to be done and getting it done, then communicating it to the AI for it to do the writing. All right, we have exceeded our 1 hour, so I'm going to take this to a quick end. This is what we have learned today: chat and co-work, what a skill is, the examples of tasks that skills are good for. You have seen one skill in action. I hope that by now you have identified at least one task that you can turn into a skill and the key points that this was meant to cover. You have been conversing with AI. If you're supposed to be delegating work to it, your real work is a transformation in the middle. And that's what a skill captures. So my role in the example I've given, get the client information and context and specifics, hand it to the AI, then come back and review what the AI has done. If I need to adjust. And then using skills, you get consistent quality, not just the speed. Obviously, the speed is there, but consistent quality is important. And the final parting shot, if you do it regularly, it has a recognizable share. It should be a skill. I believe now you have at least one or two tasks that you'd be happy to turn into a skill. And then we can spend 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, 1st of August. And together, I work with you to build a skill. And you live with a skill that you're ready to deploy come Monday morning, significantly shorten your work, or to dictate the quality that you expect each time. I will stop recording now, then take some questions.